OmniAudio.Africa.
It's mayhem.
Not the sports news.
Morning and welcome to What a Mampara, your favorite show of the week. It's a great show because you get to be nasty to people and you get to point out the stupid, the ugly, the daft.
You get to be nasty to people. We're not nasty.
Well, we point out the nasty and the stupid in people. That's what we do. We point out the absurdities, the ugly,
The crude and the rude.
the crude and the rude, and the mistakes. I mean, it's just... This has been a great weekend for it, though. I mean, every time you think, they can't do anything worse, they do. Indian cricket, I mean, PSL, poof, times two. Rugby, DuPont, poof. And his name will probably change during the show.
DuPont.
Anthony, and to his mates. Sorry. But yeah, so we're going to start with Indian cricket again. Who cares that they won?
I love how you say that.
It's only India. So we've got a list of how far, and it'll be a graphic on the show, how far other teams had to travel in comparison to India.
Yeah,
and you look at those sort of numbers. I mean, so New Zealand, 7,048 kilometers. South Africa were second most, 3,286.
You know who you're sounding like now?
Who?
Take a wild guess.
Nasser Hussain?
No, you couldn't read 7,048.
Oh, yeah, because upside down, yeah. Oh, yeah. 11 million.
That's it.
Okay. Got you. Then another thing on the show, another Mampara possibility, the PSL.
Yes, that is pretty contentious. If you take a look at Stellies, Chiefs from the weekend, Coach Barker coming out and really just outlaying the different incidents that have happened. But then again, the referee also asking the linesman, your flag is up, why? I mean, is he a flaggy from the drum majorettes? I was one. I know you how to spin the flag and whatever. But, yeah.
Well, should we start with that then? Should we start with the Stellies PFL? I mean, so even Jimmy Tao, former Chiefs captain, absolutely flabbergasted, failed to understand. How did they come to that decision? He said on SuperSport, Sage Stevens gets fouled by Matlow, and that's why the system referee raised his flag. Ball comes off
Thabo Molosani.
Yeah, and I nearly had that one right. I've been practicing all morning. Hits his arm and goes up towards
Pule Modi.
Thank you very much. And goes into direct, but he's offsides. So, I mean, like, there's two or three things wrong there. So he raised his flag, and he doesn't do it. The other, Junior Kanye on Idiski TV said it was daylight robbery from the referee, and very disappointing. And he thinks it was because of the hype of the fans. Would you say that referees get twisted by...
You can't get twisted by the hype of the fans. Okay, I get that we're all human beings here at the end of the day, right? You openly come in with a bias for Liverpool, right? It's why nobody knows who I support in the PSL, because I still work in that space. And so as a journalist, yes, you support a team. Please, any journalist can't tell me that they don't. Doesn't matter if you're Betway, Prem, EPL, wherever you are in the world. You probably grew up watching a particular team that you have a liking to, that you support. But when you report, you're supposed to kind of, put that in the back seat. And I think the same for referees. You can't go on and decide, today is the day that I'm going to make whatever call in favor of my team. And for me, this is what this speaks to. It's why yesterday I asked him I said, is it refereeing that we need to structure, formalize in a way, and we will be having this as a debate tomorrow, or is it clear daylight favoritism? My team is not doing well. My team is Kaizer Chiefs, and I'm going to do anything and everything in order to ensure that my team here walks away victors or whatever it is. You cannot go onto the pitch with that bias. And the victimization for that linesman at the moment, you cannot tell me that there isn't any. Possibly not, because I don't think Stellies supporters are that way inclined. But if we're all watching, right? And I know that we watch football with very different eyes, but if we're all watching and we can see the same mistake, the same glaring error, what's the recourse? I mean, are we going to see this linesman at every single Chiefs game? Why? Because he has the power and the authority to sway it into his team's his team's way. Or are we not going to see him for a while because he's going to be suspended, because he's going to sit in front of a disciplinary, and he's going to sit there with Abdul Ibrahim and everybody else who's head of SAFA referees, and they're going to fix this, because if he can do it, I can do it tomorrow. And if I can do it, you can do it. And then what does that mean for our sport?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So another refereeing scandal. Remember when Forest, they put out a tweet on social media about a VAR decision last season. The Anglia didn't get a penalty. There were three penalty claims against Everton, and they lost 2-0. And they put a post on Twitter, X, saying that the VAR Stuart Atwell was a fan of Luton Town, who were rivals in their battle for relegation last season. So they're fined, which is £750,000, which is about R1 trillion, I think, at the moment. I'm not too sure. They've had the post up since last year. They've had 48 million views of that post.
Wow.
So that's one of the dangers of this. I thought Mr. Barker, the referee, the coach of Stellies, handled it very well when he was speaking to SuperSport after the match. He seemed very composed and angry, but he made his point quite succinctly.
I wish that Fiso Mazibuko kept him longer.
Yeah, I think
that's
he tried.
ideally what I wished happened here.
You hear Barker there and going, "Thank you," gone.
I can only imagine the emotions that are going through your mind right now. How are you feeling at the moment?
Yeah, look, I'm just going to keep it brief. I'm not going to talk about the game. So, 2 years ago in the MTN quarterfinal, we get a penalty in the 96th minute against Chiefs at Donny Craven, and it gets overturned. We play in the final against Pirates. They take a free kick 5 meters in advance. It gets given. Today the linesman puts his flag up for a foul on the goalkeeper, which you can clearly see it was. It gets overturned. So what can I say? Thank you.
Thank you. Gone. Boom. So what do you think the linesman and the referee were discussing when he put up his flag? So let's do a multiple choice. At number one for me is what the referee starts, "Hey, brah, what's with the flag?" And the first one said, "A bee flew at me and I was trying to swap it away."
Like
number one. Number two.
Sage Stevens is a herb. It was heading in that direction.
Yeah. What's number? You want to read number two there?
Jessica waved at me, and so I waved back.
Yeah. I was showing the chief strikers the way to the goals. Sage is a stupid name for a goalkeeper anyway. And Ish, I need KFC money.
KCFC.
So that's a joke to speak more about the fact that our referees getting backhanders, and it's a worry because they get paid next to nothing, like 4,000 to 6,000 rand a match or something.
And did also point this out yesterday, where he says the minimum wage. Let's take a look at how much teams can possibly pay a referee, a linesman, anybody to sort of throw the game. And he said also, I think in Motsepe, I speak under correction, but it is online. You can go and check out that interview where he says he actually takes on one of the refs to say, "Dude, come on, like we all saw what you did here, and that is not cool." So it happens. We can't say that it doesn't happen, but this one, like everybody's been saying, is daylight robbery. We can all glaringly see the same thing happen here.
Yeah.
And I want to know, my big burning question for tomorrow is, what is being done? If it is, you're going to make an example, like we're making an example out of Royal AM as to how we're not going to run our league. Is this not the example as how we are not going to run the refereeing department and referees in South Africa? Take a look at this. Do this, and then watch your referee career down the drain.
Yeah. So right on the socials, we're on Omni Audio across Omni Audio Africa on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. So please let us know in the comments, what do you think the referee said? Did he say, "Brah, what is with the flag"? Did he say, "A bee flew at me"? I was waving at Jessica, and Jessica was waving back. I was showing the Chiefs strikers the way to the goals. Sage is just a stupid name for a goalkeeper anyway. And Ish, I need KFC. So let us know in the socials. Next up, another travesty. I mean, how Indian cricket are allowed to get away with this? So the former Pakistan bowler, Junaid Khan, he's added to the controversy, talking about the number of kilometers that teams have had to fly around.
But does anybody care other than, we care, right?
Yeah.
We care. However,
well, we care because South Africa had to basically fly 4,000 kilometers in 12 hours before they played the semi-final at home against New Zealand, and New Zealand had to do the same. So they had to fly over, wait at the bended knee, on the bended knee.
But India doesn't care.
India, no, they don't give a crap. And they keep saying they haven't got an advantage.
Of course they have an advantage.
There's no
Again,
doubt.
it's also glaringly 7,048 kilometers you said New Zealand had to travel. South Africa, 3,286 kilometers.
Yeah.
Australia, 2,509.
But it's still a fair amount. And Bangladesh, and Pakistan. Pakistan had to travel. It was their tournament. And another bit of controversy, the head of Pakistan cricket, the guy who was the tournament director, flew all the way to Dubai for the final. wasn't invited up into the podium to hand over the medals to India or to the other teams.
Oh, wow.
Instead, they had the chairman of the BCCI, the Board of Control for Cricket in India, the secretary, the head of the ICC, who just happens to be from the BCCI, and it was just Indian up there. It wasn't anything to do with Nasser Hussain and Mark Atherton were talking about this, and they said that there's an obvious and complete advantage to them playing in Dubai.
India have in playing in Dubai, only in Dubai, which seems to me to be a hard to quantify advantage, but an undeniable advantage. They're playing at just one venue. They don't have to travel either between venues or, between countries, as a lot of other teams have to do. Therefore, the selection, can focus in on the conditions in Dubai. And obviously, they'll know where they're playing their semi-final as and when they get through to that. That seems to me to be an undeniable advantage, but, kind of hard to quantify how big an advantage.
No, it is an advantage. So the best team in the tournament have that advantage. I saw a tweet the other day saying Pakistan, host nation, India, home advantage. And that sort of sums it up, really. They're in one place, they're in one hotel, there is no travel, they're in one dressing room, they know the pitch, they've picked for that pitch. I think selection, when they selected, they were very smart. They probably knew what Dubai was going to be like. They picked all their spinners. There was a bit of debate even from India media saying, why haven't you gone for the extra seamer? Why all these spinners? Well, we've seen why. And also other sides that have not done that. Like I mentioned, England, if they do get through to a semi, they've got one spinner. Pakistan last night had one frontline spinner. You could argue when the injuries came, they should have changed that, and I've made that argument. But all the other sides have to pick, and for different conditions, Karachi, Lahore, Rawalpindi, Dubai, and then they have to travel and adjust to those conditions. So it is an advantage, but what else could happen? ICC, once India refused to come here to Pakistan, what else could happen? You can't have a tournament like this without India-Pakistan. That's not going to happen. So it had to be in Dubai. And they sit happily and comfortably there, knowing that they're going to, probably play 6 games there. And if they win all those, they'll win another global tournament.
So there wasn't any consultation. I'm trying to think how these decisions were made. India don't want to go to Pakistan. India decide they're going to Dubai. But nobody sits and has kind of like a bit of a consultation process to say, hi, other countries, is it okay? Would it be all right? Let's find a neutral space. It's just like, this is where we're going, the end.
Yeah, as Mark Atherton wrote, and he writes for the Times, he wrote very well about the final set. If only cricket's administration across the board from the BCCI to the ICC was half as good as the Indian cricket team. They're a very good team, and they probably, on the base of it, decided they deserved to go. But as Nasser Hussain said there as well, they looked at the pitch and they selected 6 spinners. Pakistan had one spinner for a couple of their games in Pakistan. Yet you go across there, and it was an obvious advantage. It's borderline cheating.
Yeah, sorry. I'm hopping back, though, to that Nedbank Cup clash. Stellenbosch FC, Kaizer Chiefs, match number NC26 happens on the 8th of March. Venue, Nelson Mandela Bay. 6, referee, Skumbuso Gasa. Assistant referee number 1, Simikele Jali. Assistant referee 2, Given Letlaka. 4th official, Siyabulela Kunta. Match commissioner, Robert Smith. So, anyway, this is for tomorrow. I'm just naming everybody on the pitch that was supposed to uphold the laws of the game on the given day.
Well, we would. I'd definitely like to hear just what was said. What was the reasoning behind overruling the offside or the foul on stage? That
and
is
also,
my big thing.
I mean, what is the role of the match commissioner? I mean, does the match commissioner actually get the reports and the complaints, and then this is the person that, siphons all of these through to the PSL? I think it's also a good way for us to better understand the workings of that referees on the pitch on the given day, and obviously when it lands on the head of a ref's table, how are matters then dealt with?
Well, exactly. Coming up after the break, we're going to be talking about Anton DuPont and his broken leg. Was it deliberate? Did the Irish players deliberately target his leg because he's such a great player?
Right, what a Mampara it is. It's Tuesday. We have a couple of contenders here so far. We have done PSL and what happened with Stellies and Chiefs. We've chatted about Indian cricket and ICC and how it is that they did have the upper hand by not traveling anywhere. I mean, they hopped on a bus.
Oh, exactly. They travelled 0 kilometres.
Yeah, I mean, look at them. And then it is the France head coach, Fabien. Say it. You said it.
French head coach. So this is Fabien Galtier.
Listen to you.
Fabien Galtier.
And he's labelled the Irish clear out on Antoine DuPont, who caused that suspected serious knee injury. And so he ruptured his ACL. That was France's 42-27 victory over Ireland at the Aviva Stadium after Bernie fell on his leg at the breakdown.
So Tyg Byrne and Andrew Porter, they were going to be cited for this. They basically were involved in a direct clean out the breakdown. It's more, if you see the video, we'll put that up a bit later as well, you'll see the way the knee bends in. And
I don't want to see.
And they've almost pushed each other into it. And it ruptured his cruciate ligaments. He thinks he'll be out for a couple of months. And he obviously won't see the rest of the Six Nations. He's out for 6 months minimum and possibly 8. Because if it's serious, and he doesn't really suffer big injuries, Antoine DuPont. He's quite a strong guy. He's physically
fit.
Yeah. But the French now are going, well, what have we got to do to get some justice from World Rugby? But this goes back to the fact that World Rugby have not actually they haven't stood up. They're a bit like the ICC. They haven't They're a bit afraid to stand up against Ireland because a lot of Irish on board. This is how Sky Sports News reported it.
For France, really bad news, and actually bad news for the game as well, because Antoine DuPont has confirmed that he's ruptured cruciate ligaments in his knee. He suffered the injury in that game in Dublin yesterday, which took France top of the table. He will miss the last game of the tournament against Scotland next weekend, and plenty more beyond that as well. On social media, he said the heart hurts even more than the knee when you have to leave your friends before the last step. I am proud of what we accomplished, and with all my strength, you will do it. Rupture of the cruciate ligaments. This is the beginning of a new challenge. I'll see you in a few months on the fields.
If we're lucky. They were started, Tyg Byrne and Andrew Porter was cited, and also there was a sighting on Calvin Nash for a head-high hit on Pierre-Louis Bassari, and they were not cited. The French actually went and cited them, and then World Rugby now in quick time late yesterday decided no, scot-free, no reason to cite them. Now, Angus Gardner said it was just a rugby incident. There's a lot of talk about this depending on what side of the thing.
I guess it's a contact sport, and so there is the risk that you run of an injury of this nature. But again, like I'm saying, we're all watching it with the same eyes, even though we see sport through different eyes, and I think you'll see very many different things. What is clear here is that this was deliberate. Same way what is clear that we see with the Chiefs refereeing is that this was
and there's no
deliberate.
Yellow card. I mean, so you're not allowed to touch the scrum half at the base of a ruck these days. You're not allowed to interfere with him, and that was more than just interference, and it wasn't more than just a rugby
Shame, but
incident.
also it's someone's life, it's someone's career at the end of the day.
As much as Antoine DuPont's been spoken about a bit too much, people have praised him as the god of rugby, he is a joy to watch.
I have also cited this example once before with a Dan Malisela who was set to go overseas to play football, and a Steve Sekano tackle, which then takes him out, and he has a life-altering injury, and he can never, ever play again. And these two men do not speak to each other to this very day, and it's been years between that injury and now. So if it is that they pass each other on the street, they will not talk to each other based on the fact that Steve Sekano broke Dan Malisela's leg, and he could never, ever play football after that again.
I think Roy King did the same to Erling Haaland's father. Basically, you actually saw the bone come through the skin.
I don't want to see. I don't want to see.
So South African fans have been pointing out the fact that this injury is quite similar to the infamous Malcolm Marx leg break when they played Ireland in Durban last year. Now, what happened was that Tian Doris, who was the stand-in captain, I think, for that game, came in and did a croc roll on Marx and basically twisted Marx's leg, and it broke, and he was out for the rest of the season, just done, gone. Poof. And it was a cracking game of rugby that South Africa lost in the end. But when Doris got the yellow card, I was looking, going, but if they give him, that's a red card. It went to the bunker review, so they go in and they take 10 minutes, and they said, no, we're not going to upgrade it to yellow because it's just okay. Nigel Owens, the famous Welsh referee, it's easy for me to say, the Welsh referee, actually spoke about this last year, and he was explaining why it could have gone both ways.
Now then, another talking point. Keelan Doris, yellow card, should have been upgraded to a red. It's gone to the bunker. because of the crock roll. Now, remember, in episode 1, we discussed that the crock roll was now being outlawed, and referees were going to really going to be aware of this dangerous action. So the crock roll is when you grab a player around the fringes of the ruck, and then you crock roll him to the ground. So what you're doing, you're preventing him trying to compete to get at the ball as a juggler, or trying to counter ruck. So by doing that, they grab them and they crock roll them to the ground. Now, that can cause some serious injuries, particularly to the lower limbs. Now, in this instance here, we have 2 players involved in it, but going to the TMO, a good process. They feel that Doris is the one that starts it, and for that reason, then, he is the one that they decide to send to the bunker as a yellow card. James Ryan can count himself fortunate as well, because another day, another official, another team may well have viewed that he played a huge part as well, and could well have sent him to the bunker as well. The other question you're asking is, should Killendoris been upgraded to a red card? To be honest with you, it's a very tough decision, and I don't think there could have been any arguments if it would have been upgraded to a red card, because the action is dangerous.
Yeah, just dangerous. That's Nigel Owens. I think the first openly gay referee, just got married recently. But yeah, it was dangerous, and it was cynical, I thought, because Ireland were getting the backsides handed to them by a very good French team, and it was one of the great tests that I've seen in a long time. But when that injury happened, I was going, oh, come on. I mean, I'm Irish, but it's not great.
Yeah, I mean, and if you just Google it, there's just so much information. Everybody's talking about the injury, the update shocks. David Campisi slams horrendous Antoine Dupont clear out. Foul play or not, that is the big question at the moment. No punishment. Yeah.
The French are going to appeal the fact that they didn't decide the site. I think you have 24 hours, and then
in which to do it
for the sighting. They did it in that time, and now you've got another 48 hours to appeal. And the French rugby president is Mr. Grill has been very vocal, saying perhaps we just need to get some justice. So there's going to be trouble there. Speaking of somebody who's going to need some justice, what's happening with the Bafana players in Europe? I mean,
I have no idea what's going on with these two in particular. Mihlai Mayambela as well as Siyabong Ngezana. So Ngezana reportedly had to run after the team bus because they left him behind on Thursday, and he plays for the Romanian side FCSB. So he featured for the 90 minutes. They played against Ligue 1 Club Lyon in the Europa. Why can't I talk today? Europa League round of 16, and they lost 3-1 in the first leg in France. But that's not half of it. So after the match, he misses the team bus, and he should know better, actually. And it had taken off without him, forcing him to run after the bus. So according to the Romanian outlet, that's Digisport, Ngezana ran after the bus as it was leaving, but luckily he caught up with it and joined his teammates for the trip to the airport before they flew back to Romania. Luckily, he's also a very tall player, so I'm sure to take in this bus, those strides are big and powerful. But I mean, come on,
someone shot a video.
You should have also known not to be late for the bus. And what were you doing that you were late? Mihlai, on the other hand, I mean, he was obviously, just showboating, but this is also just not like him, that they must have aggravated him in some way that for him to just show the unsportsmanlike behavior. So he's been slapped with a fine for that and for his celebrations. But I'm sure he was just like, here's the middle finger, guys. Do whatever you want.
We're going to quickly run through Gerard Pique. So he wants to get rid of second serves and the juice rule to speed up the sport. He says, watching tennis is bad because TikTok's quicker. I don't understand that thinking. Anyway, over to Sundowns.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been talking about this because Saturday's Nedbank Cup quarterfinal clash, Sundowns Kakune United, double booking. Lucas Moripe Stadium. Come on, guys, we can do better. PSL confirmed the dates, venues, kickoff time, and all of that. Scheduled to host Saturday at 8. Then on Friday, the stadium will host the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup qualifier between SA and Nigeria at the same venue at 3. 3, 4, 5, 6, which gives us an hour for another one to play at 8. Come on, guys, come on.
The statement,
this story it annoys me. It annoys me because, again, if we're not going to run the league like Royal AM, if it is that we're not going to run the league like the refereeing that we saw between Stellies and Chiefs, then please, let's not run the league here by double booking
an Under-17 game.
versus, look, I'm not saying one is better than the other and one should take center stage, but there was a Loftus. What happened at Loftus, right? Because then it could have still have been a home game for Sundowns. Look, I don't book it, but I'm just trying to make sense of it in my head for myself because we've got other stadia in the country, right? So why cancel? Why we are making a plan? Why we have moved it based on double booking? Why just, oh, it's off, we've double booked?
And the fact they said they read it about it in social media is absolutely frightening.
Come on,
that was on the
man,
Friday.
come on. It's
not
like
good enough.
people have taken off work, they've made plans, they've come, they've perhaps traveled. It's come on. Come on. I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
I'm
So
so,
what am-
annoyed.
It sounds.
It's like, can I go and help? Can I help anyway?
That's your annoyed voice. I can
I'm
hear it.
so annoyed.
So, the winner is going to be.
I wasn't going to the game, but I'm so annoyed.
So we're going to Indian cricketer up there, the PSL and Sundowns for the double book stadium, Stellies and Chiefs and referees. I mean, what the F? I mean, Gerard Pique and tennis, DuPont's out for ages, and South African players are being naughty abroad.
Cutely
Who do
naughty
you-
award. Oh, come on, it's a given. It is a given.
Chief Stellies,
Correct.
without a doubt.
I mean, not the teams taking it, but it really is eyes on the linesman, the refereeing, the assistants, because I think all together, as much as we point to the linesman, I think collectively, that entire group of all the names that I've called,
Yeah.
I think they take the cake today.
I want to hear what they said. I want to hear the talking. What? Jessica!
I'm here.
Hey, Jessica.
Hi.
Ish, I need KFC. Speak to you tomorrow.
Till then, cheerio.
Omni-Audio.Africa.
It's mayhem.
Not the sports news. Omni-Audio.